Fight Night. I'm Oz. Lies. All of it. It's a conspiracy. Today we're playing we're playing Street Fighter 2, the big one.
A few moments later.
Downward kick? Nah. What? For how long? The entire time? Damn it. Fuck.
Audio's back on.
Okay. Has it been off the whole time?
It seems like it. My mic is apparently not set to my default device despite having done it several times later.
Damn it. What are we gonna do?
We'll just keep rolling.
Okay. In case there's no intro audio, hi everyone, welcome to Retro Fight Night. I'm Moz, and there's Ice. Ice didn't have the audio working correctly.
Don't worry about it. We adapt, we overcome.
Yeah, so the first, 30, 40 minutes of this is void. This is Street Fighter 2. This is the big one. This is the big one. I keep saying it because it is really important to emphasize how huge this was for the genre. Yeah, so, other than that, let me, hello.
Hello.
Wait, I'm not playing Guile. Oh god,
Give
no.
me Guile. I'm the Guile
Wait,
player here.
Wait, where did it? It entered the. Oh, okay. Now I'm playing as Ken. That's fine.
Alright.
Yes. So I play mostly Ryu and Ken because they are the same character here. I don't think there's any difference really in the original version. I know later on Ken would get more moves. And Ryu would stay the same.
Faster?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I would assume in that case then Ryu would do more damage, maybe?
Yes, correct. So.
Because fighting games are weird, and faster characters do less damage.
Yep.
Where in most other genres, the faster characters do more damage. Something I didn't know this for the longest time. I just assumed in fighting games everyone had the same health pool. Is that not true?
No, not true. So, there's different values. I don't know if they have it in this game.
They do.
They do? Okay.
Yeah, because I know Zangief has like a humongous HP pool.
Yeah.
I play him actually. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, Flash Kick is good.
I love the sprites. They're so unrefined.
Yeah.
That's I think the best way to describe it. They did not know what they were doing yet.
No, not at all.
This game was considered like a 10 out of 10 for this was the top standard for graphics in 1991.
Interesting.
According to the media at the time. Which I would contest. To put it in perspective, Super Mario World would come out the same year as this.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm not really sure if this game has aged as well as Super Mario World's graphics.
Certainly not.
And F-Zero, another really beautiful looking game, came out in 1991, so, you know.
For sure.
Man, you are really, the more, I feel like there's gonna be a common thing, the longer you play these games, this individual game, you're gonna get that edge out very quickly over me. Also doesn't help that I'm not exactly a champion. Listen, I like to play little RPGs.
Don't worry, it's okay. I'm just gaming right now. Guile gaming.
The video of this is gonna be 30 minutes of you beating the crap out of Ryu. I'm gonna try Zangief.
Alright. It's kinda weird because I can't really change my character.
Not unless you lose.
Yeah. So,
You have to insert a credit to change a character.
Okay.
But by that I mean that the only time you can actually do that is when you're losing.
Yeah, yeah.
Something you will notice about the game and the weird sprite work is that everyone's face just like changes in design when they look at the camera. They just turn into a completely different character when they look at the camera. Let me try Chun-Li. I know one thing to do with Chun-Li. That's the kick.
Yeah, spinning break.
But that's
kick.
literally just A, or I think it'd be B, 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 B. Yep,
Oh, that, yeah.
there it is. There's nothing to it. And because she's a charge character, that's the only thing you're going to be seeing me doing. Oh my lord.
That's a throw?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. I do like the idea of me being able to like skip on top of you. That's
Yeah,
pretty fun.
yeah. That's what's called a pogo in fighting games.
Of course it has a term.
There's a term for it, yes.
But you can't just be a thing, it's the fighting game community. They have to make up a word for it to
Yeah.
make the barrier to entry even higher. Like, imagine imagine someone uninitiated just watching your average fighting game stream.
I mean, that's just kind of how a lot of competitive fighting games go. Is, they make up a lot of terms for, just whatever.
So we've had this discussion a lot, Ice. It makes me wish there was a casual scene for fighting games, but there just
Yeah.
isn't.
'Cause
It just doesn't exist.
I don't know how we would make one. It's the issue.
Just make some cool single-player content. That's all you need.
Yeah. But it's like, is there a casual shooting game? I don't know.
All the Wolfenstein games.
Yeah, true.
They don't even have multiplayer, all the modern Wolfenstein games. Doom, Overkill,
Yeah.
anything Bethesda's made, basically. Any, like, shooter RPG like Fallout, that's a shooter.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fighting game RPG. Like, imagine how cool that would be. Like, Mythologies, where you can pick up moves throughout the game.
I mean,
That'd be so cool.
that's a beat 'em up game right there.
I guess, but more so. Well, beat 'em ups don't have that kind of progression. You don't pick up new moves in most beat 'em
Some
ups.
do.
The NES version of Double Dragon is the only one I can think of.
I know, a lot of the newer ones that I played have that, but
Yeah. I mean, I think it could still be a fighting game just with RPG mechanics. I know one of the Virtua Fighter games had that.
and like that's basically the single player in Street Fighter 6 right there.
Yeah. I just wish it didn't take them 30 years to come up with that.
Totally understandable.
That's what made it, like, I wanted to get into fighting games for a while, but I took a look at it and it just was like, oh no. Like, did you grow up being into fighting games, or
No, not really.
how'd you get into them then?
So I don't know why this was my first game, but I played Dragon Ball FighterZ. I wasn't even a Dragon Ball fan.
They are really good, the Dragon Ball
They're-
fighting games.
They're fun to just kind of like mess around with and press buttons, but like whenever you get like actually okay at the game, goddamn that game sucks. Like,
Really?
you
So it's
sort
good
of-
for casuals like myself.
Yeah, but it's like the issue is you can't be casual forever, and that's kind of what happened to me with because I was a casual fighting game player. I never thought I'd play fighting games competitively. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna get around and press buttons and have fun, and here I am,
You
like,
can be casual in any genre, really. Like, I mean, I've been playing fighting games for like a year or so now, and I still would not consider myself competitive.
yeah. But
I
it's
mean,
like,
how long have you been playing RPGs? Are you competitive at RPGs?
No, which is the thing about fighting games that makes me question is like, how do we keep fighting games casual? Because it's like, you're never going to get worse. You're only going to get better.
Well, that's because they, like, an example of a kind of a thing that's not a competitive aspect, like, I played Marvel vs. Capcom recently, the original, and I went through the single-player tower, and the final boss isn't, like, a super hard whatever. the final boss of both Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Street Fighter are these. I think it's Doomsday, and I can't remember for the other one. But they're like these huge characters that don't play like fighting game characters. They're like these. Imagine fighting the entire background. That's what it's like.
Interesting.
It's so cool and so interesting, and it sucks that they never did anything like that again.
For sure.
With Capcom specifically.
Yeah.
And we'll see as we go through the series. People try things, but because it's not Capcom, no one picks up on them. Because that's basically fighting game history. Everyone's trying to be Mortal Kombat, and everyone's trying to be Capcom.
Yeah.
And no one wants to do anything different. Because they want that Street Fighter 2 money.
Yeah.
Or that MK 2 and 3 money. I mean, we've discussed, like, there can be ways to make fighting games, like, fighting game that's more casual. It's just that there's no precedent for it because they, ever since the beginning of fighting game history, they've always gone in the direction of making it more competitively viable.
For sure. And I think that's just, like, the nature of fighting games. Because as I'm saying, it's like, I never expected to be entering into tournaments 3 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was just kind of like, maybe if I just keep playing, I'll get better. And I kept playing, and I got better, and then I'm like, well, I need to challenge myself outside of just the multiplayer, so...
Yeah. But that assumes, like, when you play an RPG, it's also a thing because most fighting games are all the same.
Yeah.
Like, when I play, what's 2 RPGs? Like, just as an example. Like, Final Fantasy versus... Like Fallout, like the original Fallout. If I'm really good at like the combat in Final Fantasy 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to translate to Fallout because they're very different. They have very different stat styles. They have very different gameplay styles, right? But if I'm like really good at Street Fighter 2, then I'm going to be decent at like DBZ.
Yeah.
And that's what I have, like, what really is boring about fighting games a lot of the time for me, is because because your skill really does translate so much. Whereas in pretty much every other genre, it really doesn't.
I guess. Like, in shooters, I would say it translates really well.
It depends if they have the same gun physics, because a lot of games have, like, really weird gun physics.
I mean, like, unless you're, like, playing Splatoon to CSGO.
Well, no, I'm talking about, like, if I were to play Half-Life, that game has, like, laser guns.
Yeah. I'm mostly talking about if I were to go from, like, Rainbow to CSGO to Valorant to Overwatch. It's all the same way to aim. There's no...
No, not Overwatch. Overwatch only has gimmick guns. That's the entire point of Overwatch.
Not all characters are gimmicks. There are some traditional shooters.
Yeah. But like TF2, like if I were a really good CSGO player, that would translate almost 0 to something like TF2.
Yeah.
But there's not really a lot of fighting games like that. Like if I'm, like, let's say I was a god tier Marvel vs. Capcom player, I would still be a really good Tekken player.
Yeah.
And fighting games are the only genre where I can really, it's like that high of a conversion rate. Like, you see it in the competitive scene all the time for fighting games. It's like someone is like a god-tier Street Fighter player, and then they go to this other game, and they're still competing in tournaments like a couple months later.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Leffen. Let's put Leffen out here. So Leffen is one of the best Smash and Melee players on a platform fighter. Goes to a completely different kind of fighting game, Guilty Gear Strive, wins EVO.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, and those two games feel very, very different to play. However, the fundamentals still transfer. Because I'm saying, like, the point that you're making is practically invalid.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, it's not so much about, like, how weirdly the things feel to play, and more so about, like, what about a video game transfers. So, like, for fighting games, it's, reflex, knowing, punishes. That's just universal for fighting games and within the genre. Otherwise, it would not be a fighting game anymore. Like, without the things that transfer, it would no longer feel like a fighting game.
Well, that's because the only reason you think that is because of the fact that all fighting games are so similar, because they all want to be like all these things that you've grown accustomed to.
No. Smash Bros. Ultimate? Guilty Gear Strive, two completely different games. Platform fighter
Well,
versus
that's the
traditional fighter.
that's find another example of that doesn't include a platform fighter.
I mean, like, find another example that doesn't include games that have aiming for shooters. Like, aiming is an essential part for shooter games.
Actually, no. Most fighting games didn't have aiming until the mid 2000s. You could not aim.
Then is it even a shooter?
You could not aim down sights.
Oh, I'm not talking about aiming down sights. I'm talking about moving something around to aim, like a joystick or a mouse.
I don't know, maybe like fucking. Well, there's games that have weapons that, like the smart gun and like the Alien vs Predator games that aim for you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's just like a feature.
Yeah.
It's more so of like a handicap than anything. It's not necessarily innovating on anything new, because it's just a computer doing it for you. That's like as of saying, well, there was that one fighting game character that did the combos for me.
Yeah.
No, not quite.
I guess the point I'm just trying to make is that there is little I don't think you can deny there is a significant lack of variance in fighting games.
I do think that there is, but I think it's just because it's not in demand. Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
if people wanted it,
the point of it,
beat 'em up games would be popular.
well, the point I'm trying to, well, they were the biggest genre for a long time.
But now they're not nobody wants a beat 'em up game anymore.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm trying to make is because everyone was trying to imitate Capcom, and because they didn't really want to change the formula up, what you know is a fighting game, and what you say, oh, it's not a fighting game if it doesn't have this, that's just because people are copying this game. Right? If developers weren't so obsessed with copying Capcom because it was financially successful, then what you understand as a fighting game would be very different.
Yeah.
And it would be a lot more varied and a lot more interesting.
Because what I'm not saying is, like, fighting games have been set back, or because like fighting games have been set back a while due to exactly what you're saying. But like as we're seeing, we're getting new games we're entering a new era where motion inputs might become irrelevant. You know?
I hope so. I hate them.
I'm
They're
so
dumb.
excited. They're so dumb. Like Project L, no more motion inputs. Rambler, no more motion. You have an option to have motion inputs, but the game is built to not have motion inputs from the start.
Yeah. So I want to tell this little story. So this is the perfect example of what we've been talking about. I hope the viewers find this interesting. So motion inputs don't exist to make the game more difficult. They only exist to get your quarters.
Yeah.
So you got to imagine what an arcade looks like in 1991 with all these Street Fighter cabinet. It came out like January, February. This game. So in 1991, an arcade cabinet a Street Fighter would have looked like one guy on one side and like a line of people.
Yeah.
Dueling him, and then they would switch around and stuff, right? Or people gathering around a cabinet to watch people playing and seeing who could stay at the cabinet the longest. Right? So Capcom wins when someone's like very quickly rotating people, or when people have to rotate because they're playing the single player and it's not going very well, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? Well, the AI can do these special moves. Well, how do we make it not super obvious that the AI is basically just God, right? Well, we give them these special moves, but the player can't have these special moves, so we'll lock them behind these really esoteric inputs. So, like, motion inputs only really exist so that a player, in order to perform better in multiplayer and single player, has to learn these inputs. And how do you do that? Well, you have to play the game a bunch. And if you want to be good at multiple characters, you have to play the game exponentially more to learn all the inputs.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of characters here are charge characters, because it's going to be even harder to naturally discover those inputs.
For sure.
Like, imagine you've never played a fighting game and you want to get good with Guile. It's going to take you ages to figure out how his moves work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try E Honda. Another charge character. But people are going to realize their special moves really quickly because there are characters that have special moves that are just button, 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 like Blanka and Chun-Li. It's all just a way for the arcade to make more money. It's not really, like, something that's important. It's become this, like, almost deitized element of fighting games, these motion inputs. You know, people complained about modern controls on Street Fighter 6, right? it's like a huge thing in the community, from what I've heard. I don't really know the argument. I guess it's just like, why do people not like modern controls, or do people have access to them?
The main reason is, you don't have to go through the pain of motion inputs. So that means, that doesn't really matter, so, because nobody cares if you could, like, DP on reaction or fireball on reaction. They don't want to lose half their health because somebody did their level 3 on reaction. It's the big thing.
Okay.
So, I don't know why people are so pressed about it, in my opinion. Like,
It
that's
just sounds
what-
like gatekeeping.
It is gatekeeping. That's the argument that they're making, but it's really just gatekeeping. Because Street Fighter, I will say, is not a game built for, non-motion inputs.
Mhm.
That's the big thing right now. But,
That voice like, Brazil!
Brazil!
Brazil! But you're saying?
There's one benefit of motion inputs, and that
Mhm.
is you can include more attacks.
Yeah.
But for, like, simpler fighting games that aren't like Street Fighter,
Like this.
like, having no motion inputs
Fuck
works
you.
perfectly. You know?
Yeah, there's another Capcom game we're going to be playing in quite a few episodes called Cyberbots. I've told
Okay.
you about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty obscure. The only claim to fame of Cyberbots is that Rin, the main character of Cyberbots, is in Marvel vs. Capcom.
So,
He's a mech pilot. It's a mech fighting game. The main mechanical thing is that there's no motion inputs that I'm aware of, really.
gotcha.
I think specials might require motion inputs, but everything else is button combinations that logically make sense.
Yeah.
So if you want to do like a dashing special move, you press dash plus attack. Oh my! I'm getting bullied.
Damn.
Fuck you. That's what you get. And I think it'll be really interesting to see. I don't know. I'm wondering what your reaction to a game like that will be that doesn't have the clunky motion inputs. Also, when Capcom starts including the option to play on easy special moves, I'm doing that. I don't care I don't care who calls me a little baby man. I'm going to use the easy inputs.
I might use them.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just easier.
Yeah. And frankly, again, it's just a way to drain more quarters.
Oh, yeah. It just
I mean, I
depends
guess
on,
it is. Go ahead.
Like, as long as I don't lose buttons because of it, I'm going to use non-motion inputs. Like, as long as the game doesn't
Yeah.
penalize me for not using motion inputs, I'm going to avoid motion inputs.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I'm not really. Again, it sounded like I was pretty passionate about it. At the end of the day, doesn't really matter, you know. But I do think it's a thing that kind of needs to get taken out of the fighting game genre over time. 'Cause I don't really think it helps like make the game more fun, because that's why we play
Yeah.
video games, because they're fun.
To some people,
And
it does
when I
make
play
it
a
more
lot
fun,
Yeah. It depends on your definition, obviously, right? If you find that fun, then that's valid. But a lot of people, myself included, find a lot of the things that make fighting games more difficult and more skill-based makes it a lot less entertaining.
For sure.
Because when I play a fighting game, or a new one, I just want to open it up, play the single-player tower, play with my buddies, and just play it. Like, I don't want to have to... I just want to be able to press buttons and have my moves come out. Or, you know, that expression that people have when they pick a new fighting game up, where it's like, this guy looks cool. I don't want to have to, like, watch a video on how to play Ryu, which I had to do. I had to watch a video on how to get his inputs to come out, because the inputs online are for the more modern Street Fighter titles, and they're not consistent.
Oh, yeah.
Dang, I'm just getting destroyed.
I've got the hang of buttons now, so it takes me
Yeah.
a bit, because the buttons are a little bit different than modern Street Fighters, but I think I got it down.
What do you? What would you say is the biggest difference between this and Street Fighter 6? Just like if there's one thing you could point out.
Health.
Really?
Health, you're a lot more squishy in this game.
Because they wanted more quarters.
Yeah.
That's, I know I keep saying it,
no,
but it is omnipresent.
It's true. It's like once, like I'm assuming once we go to more console-based games, we're gonna see a lot longer fights.
Yes. That is the turning point for the fighting game genre. Around the around the 5th generation, when consoles start dominating over the arcades.
Yeah.
Fighting games, you know, just conveniently, unrelatedly get longer. Yeah, you know, how long are these matches, you think, like, in total? Like, even when we go 1-2 on the matches on the round, I think they're only, like, 2 minutes, 3 minutes long.
Yeah, they're not super long.
No, and that's also why Capcom went really hard on Turbo, is because the matches become shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more we get through this series, the more I get angry about, like, arcade owners and just arcade machines in general, because it's really greedy. It gets really greedy later on. I think the worst point is probably, I want to say, like, 1996, when things started getting really bad for the arcades.
For sure.
Like, I'm getting to points when I play some arcade games from that time where I have to spend a quarter every 3 minutes.
Huh. Jeez, yeah.
Or not even for a fighting game. I'm talking for, like, Metal Slug or something like that. They start removing lives from, like, not fighting games, obviously. Fighting games don't have lives. But, it's everything they can do to squeeze as many quarters out of you as possible. Which, you know, makes sense why people would react to that by going, you know what? I don't feel like going to the arcade anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Like, once consoles come out, it's like, why not just stay home? Play games there. Have your friends over. Play some Street Fighter, you know?
Not have to pay for $7 chips.
Yeah.
Is it, like, again, I don't play a lot of modern fighting games. Are the inputs just weird?
A little, yeah.
Okay. Because they're like this in pretty much every old fighting game.
Oh, that does, like, my entire health.
I know! Throws are supposed to be really powerful because they're supposed to be really hard to pull off. No! I will win one match, goddammit! No, okay.
Thank you, Invincible Anti-Air.
Yeah, balancing is not... Old fighting games are not renowned for their balancing.
I think, like, Guile's the best character in this game, but I don't know. I don't think you can do a mirror match. At least in this game.
That is true, because there's no alternate colors.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Yeah, so you can't do mirrors. That's really weird.
For sure, so it's like if somebody's just playing Guile, you have to wait for the Guile player to be done. What is that sprite? Bonus stage? Gaming? Okay. What do we do?
Get them barrels, Ice.
Oh.
Don't let them bully you.
Huh? Gotta use my medium. Oh fuck! Asshole. Break.
Imagine if you had a health bar too. You've been defeated by Barrel.
Barrel.
That's gonna be the next. That's gonna be the next DLC character. Street Fighter 6. Just fucking Barrel.
Barrel.
It's gonna be the same sprite too. They're not even gonna update it. It's just gonna be a 16-bit Barrel. Oh, we should have you look at the boss characters while we're here to finish up. Oh, that's totally not Mike Tyson. He doesn't even. He only looks like Mike Tyson in his portrait. Also, he's inexplicably wearing a dress.
I think it's supposed to be shorts, but I don't know.
Why are they the same color as the shirt?
Palette limit knits.
Limit mitts.
Limited
Wait,
palette
boxers
leggings.
are usually shirtless. Why does he have a shirt?
Who?
Balrog.
Balrog? Oh, right.
It's so funny. So when they made Champion Edition of this, which we're not playing, for the viewers, we're not going to be playing, I think we'll play Super Street Fighter, but we're not going to play every version, because that'd be redundant. Unless people request that. If we get enough requests, it might be fun. But, fun thing about Champion Edition, Vega can climb on the wall on any stage. Oh! Yeah, so even if you're in, like, the India level, Vega can climb on the background. Which is very funny
Oh
looking.
my gosh.
Yeah, no, the boss characters are no joke.
For sure. Alright.
Also the only rushdown character in this
Got it.
game. Which is weird to say, because isn't Vega usually a stance?
Vegas stance, yeah.
Not in this game.
What do I do? Why does he get it,
Die and
though?
put more quarters in.
Why?
Oh my
How do I dodge
god!
that?
You don't.
That's so bullshit. Can I block that?
No.
'Cause I'm Bruh. What even do I do? Why?
I think we can get into the final thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've been playing it for a bit, so I think you can, and you've gaffed me way hard since for the end of this. So while Guile is shivering from the mere thought of having to fight Vega again,
God.
as he should.
Yeah.
Did he just die?
Yeah.
You put your name in, by
I
the way.
die.
Execution, the first fatality in gaming, I'm sure. We'll start with you. I think you have more expertise into the actual fighting side of it, and I can talk more about its legacy.
Yeah, it's okay, so the more I play it, the more I just kind of get used to... I got used to just playing the game. It felt like a fighting game. The more I played it, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm used to, just feels a lot more dated.
Okay.
However, I will say just like straight up, damn, this game does not feel fun to play. Well, no, it's fun, but it does not feel nice to play.
I'm just here to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2, the World Warrior, there is frankly no reason to play it.
Yeah, I agree.
Now that doesn't mean there's no reason to play Street Fighter 2. I think if you want to play Street Fighter 2, play either Super Turbo, Hyper, 5th Anniversary, or 10th Anniversary.
For sure.
Right? It's got all the stuff. And I believe Hyper even has Akuma as a secret boss character.
Interesting.
He's not secret, but he's a reveal.
Yeah.
Sorry. But Street Fighter 2 is just so... It's kind of like Street Fighter 1. It's innovative, and it really sets the framework for what everyone else is going to be doing, but that's really all it is a framework. It's
Yeah.
not a game on its own. It's really only as good as the people you're playing it with.
For sure.
Which is really the baseline for any multiplayer game. Like, the mechanics from a casual's perspective are really, really basic, really boring. A lot of things just don't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Not from like, oh, it's dumb and they're dumb. It's more like, it's so esoteric, I could never understand it just by playing the game.
I get that.
Because I've probably put a good 5-6 hours into World Warrior at this point, and I still don't really understand the core loop of how fighting works.
Yeah.
In this game specifically.
You get it by playing fighting games, which is interesting
Yeah.
to say. Because it's like, what I did whenever I first started playing fighting games was, I was like, okay, so I understand my buttons, I understand what, every time I press something, I know what I'm pressing. And then, I understand what my opponent has access to, and then you have to understand how to beat what your opponent has access to with the buttons you have. And there's so many interactions that are possible in fighting games. And that is what's fun to me. Because every time I play a fighting game, it's like, okay, there's new knowledge, there's new updates to how to beat these options with my options.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you have unlimited options, and it's not like the opponent has unlimited options, but you have a lot. There is a lot. And it's so much more advanced than you would think. And that's what I love about fighting games, is unlimited depth is how it feels.
Yeah, I can understand that. For me, that unlimited depth becomes more of a problem because it means that I cannot begin to comprehend the game very well.
Yeah.
If I don't deep dive into the fundamentals and learn fundamentals, I'm never going to, like, no amount of just grinding on the game is ever going to get me to a certain level. At a certain point, you need to study, which feels weird to me.
Yeah.
And like a lot of games have things that kind of compensate for this. Like they have fun single player or fun casual things, like funny gimmicky characters, right? Like later Capcom games, like my favorites, Marvel vs. Capcom, Cyberbots. Like Marvel vs.
Yeah.
Capcom has the support characters. They have interesting characters with really cool super moves. They have all these interesting special moves that do all these weird gimmicky things. Street Fighter 2 has exactly the bare minimum.
Yeah.
It has 8 characters, half of which most people are never going to learn how to play properly. Each one has like 3 to 4 special moves, all of which are basically boiled down to, can you do a cool kick or hit or something, and do you have a projectile? And most special moves go into one of those 2 categories. And that's not a diss on the fighting genre, more so specifically Street Fighter 2,
Yeah.
the World Warrior. The art is, while impressive for the time, hasn't aged particularly well because of poor art direction.
For sure.
The game is a little offensive. It's a little boring. There's one woman. It's enough, and I think that's basically all you can really praise it for, is being nowadays enough. Obviously, back then, I cannot diminish the role Street Fighter 2 plays. I don't want to say that. I'm not saying it was always a bad experience, but nowadays there's just play anything after it, really, unless it's something infamously bad.
Yeah. To kind of like wrap things up, honestly, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I think Street Fighter 2 is a good starting place. Did not age well.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it doesn't have
it
good
makes it hard to revisit.
representation. It doesn't feel great to play. The balance is terrible. Like, Guile's just broken.
Yeah.
Granted, Guile's like my favorite character to play up until, well, JP, but
Yeah, I think that's good. That's a good way to wrap it up. Next week a new challenger enters the field of fighting games. And we might have another two game episode on our hands, because next week, the next couple weeks, or depending on how we do it, is going to be King of the Monsters and Fatal Fury.
ooh, okay.
King of the Monsters being wrestling. But
Yeah.
if you're watching on demand, thank you for watching till the end. We really appreciate it. If you could give it a like, if you want to subscribe to see more, we're going to be doing a lot of these.
Hi, this is post-editing Ice. We didn't really have any good footage to end with. So, yeah, we will see you next week. And next up is Fatal Fury.